Hello, solutionaries. Welcome to the Awaken Sponda podcast. I am your hostess with the mostest, Arlen Ruddy. Thank you for joining us and thank you for tuning in. If you are new to the podcast, Awaken Sponda is a platform that's dedicated to supporting those on their spiral to wholeness through sharing stories, wisdom, and knowledge that can be directly applicable for generating and creating more energetic freedom within the self. Here we make the unconscious conscious daily, so if you are down with that sort of thing, then you may want to stick around to see what we got in store. In today's episode, we are talking to Kyree, otherwise known as the Hood Mystic. Kyree is an author, an astrologer, a psychic, and an educator. And his main focus is really just to get you tuned into your soul. So the name of the game with Kyree is soul work. And he himself is a beautiful, beautiful, unique soul. And so I'm excited to have him on today, finally. Now, in today's episode, we do have some feedback. For some listeners, it may be hard to listen to. If you are one of those that can tune that out and just get to what's underneath that and the beautiful conversation being had, then you will really enjoy today. So let's get into it.
Yo.
Kyree. Yeah. You hear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, perfect. Actually, this is great. This sounds great.
Sounds good.
Yeah. How you feeling today?
I'm great.
Doing good? How's the energy up there?
The energy is awesome. Like I can't even, I don't know, it's just like I'm in a whole different vibration today than I was yesterday.
Yeah, me too. Like it's kind of wild actually. Yeah, we had a time yesterday, but it's crazy. I went it's kind of like wild style. I went to the gym this morning and I did my kickboxing class, and in the middle of, while I was, practicing, I just realized my kung fu was like at some like crazy skill. I was just killing it, and I was like, oh, where is this balance? Where is this energy coming from? Like my mind wasn't even there. It was like maybe my mind must have been fully in my body. I don't know, like crazy. And then I was sitting there thinking, like, as I was like, man, I gotta go do a podcast. And I was like, what am I gonna? I was like, I don't even feel like, I feel like a blank canvas right now. Like I don't even, which is fantastic. I feel like it's like the Kundalini is like present in me right now. So yeah, it feels good. I'm glad we're here in the space right now.
1000%.
We're gonna get to the crux of whatever this is. I don't know. I mean, blank canvas. Shit, I have no idea. But it's exciting either way.
I got some theories.
What's that? Tell me, please tell me.
Oh, like the world is electric. It's a non-physical, vibratory, magnetic energy, and you could be fixated on the material world, or you could be investigative of the electric world, and whether you know it or not, it's affecting you. And I just speak to like the knowing it part. I personally think.
Yeah, no, I've hands down. I think that you're right on point there. It's all breaks down to energy. That's it.
Yes.
It's wild. Yeah, super excited to be talking to you. So I mean, you kind of, and it's funny, like, because I'm like sitting here going, like, I know the Kundalini is hot in my body right now. Like, I just feel it. And the funny thing is, like, I kind of told you about it yesterday, but when you kind of came into my life, it was just like one of those random, like, it was me, I found you on YouTube, like, and it was after I'd had this radical Kundalini movement, and it was really a profound one. I've had a few, but this one was like, kind of was a shifting point of my whole paradigm. And it was kind of when everything kind of just happened, and it was like I was in it, like, and aware and willing to just, I don't know, I was just at a place to really let it just happen, and I wasn't resisting it. And I found you like randomly through, there's a couple people I found that were, pivotal in my journey. And so, and one of the things was you would always talk about, I remember you talking about Kundalini, and in relation to astrology, and the sidereal, and so I don't know, and there's many things you talked about, and
For
you
sure.
also, you just kind of, you just had this realness, and the wisdom. You have a lot of wisdom within you.
And it's not me. It's
It's
the world. It's
right.
the nature that I'm connected to that uses me as a channel.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah. So it's like, it might seem like a bunch of different things, but I tend to think of it as just kind of regurgitating the same thing, but in different aspects of it. What I've been learning about divinity is if you hold that space, you're not like just doing it for yourself.
Right.
Anybody that you come into contact with gets a little piece of that divinity. That's why you do it. And regardless of if you get the credit for it or not, that's not the point. You're just holding the space for you and others to be divine, right? So, like, for me, Sidereal Astrology and chakras is all about energy and tapping into that energy. And that's why I talk about it. But it's real if you tune into that particular frequency, understand the dimensions of the frequency. It works,
Yeah. I mean, it really, really does. I mean, and that's one of the things I've noticed about it. Like, and I had to like kind of like learn. I went through the whole process of kind of like, you really were the one that sparked my my wheels on the sidereal, because I was just kind of, I knew tropical, and I studied some tropical astrology in my past, and that's really all I knew. But when you were talking about it, it really did. You were the one that initially sparked my curiosity, and so the more I began to kind of look at it and then listen to you, and really you've been one of the main people I've listened to with sidereal astrology. There's not a lot out there.
Right.
But I begin to notice, like, like my feelings and the way I felt energetically in my body. And that's how I kind of read as like through my work and stuff too. It's like, I kind of know the energy of the collective through my body, through like everything. It's my own sensory and whatnot. And I just noticed that like where I feel and what was like, so say like somebody said it was like a Leo moon, and it's like not, and like everybody's talking about feeling this kind of way, like on your Instagram feeds and all this kind of stuff. And I'm sitting there, but that's not what I'm reading. That's not what I'm feeling. So I'm like, the more I investigated that, I just kind of started to realize that I think the soul self, the soul and the energy, it's when you're tuned into it, really, it's like, or you're in the awareness, you just know. It's not like a conditioning or I don't know. Does that make sense?
It does. It's like if we're talking about where we're gonna go, like the amusement park, and we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and and as we're getting there, it actually kind of feels like we're at the amusement park, right? You might not even differentiate between being at the amusement park versus talking about it. Hence, you've never been there. You don't know what it's like. When you get there, you're going to be like walking mad long, lines mad long, food mad expensive, and you may have a good time, but before you get there, it's perfect, right? Because it's just pure imagination. To me, that's tropical astrology. It exists in a space of, I don't know what I'm talking about, but what I'm talking about sounds good. Do it sound good to you? Yeah. And so everybody is like just nodding and feeling good. Feeling good about it. Sidereal astrology is not wishing to be at the park. You're
Yes.
there. Right?
Yes. That's
And
yeah. Keep
and
going.
some people just never get there. But that's how I view it. Especially as in like listening to you. It's just like that analogy just popped up. Like to be
Yeah.
immersed in the science is also what your ancestors and my ancestors did. Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we didn't have Western astrology. We had the literal stars. So
Yeah. That's it. You're exactly right. It's what's happening. It's actually
yeah.
and what it takes is the actual tuning in, and it's like that's where you really, and that's kind of like, I mean, that's the whole gist of doing the sound work and what I do, and it aligns a lot with everything you talk about. Everything it's finding the awareness within. It's like tuning in. You always say, what is it? Tuned in, tapped in.
Tapped in and
Yeah,
tuned in.
tapped in, tuned in. Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what it's all about, because you don't even really, in essence, need any of that, because it's like I could know just by the feeling of it and not have to be looking out, like you said, like to something. Oh, so what's going on? Like, what are we doing? Where are we going? Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. Is there, how could you break down, like, just for people who like might be listening that aren't familiar with sidereal, because I've just kind of really recently been kind of bringing it up in like some in my space when I'm doing sound work, that kind of thing. Just to kind of bring it to the awareness, because I think that's really what it comes down to too. Is like nobody, I mean, we don't see sidereal everywhere. It's one of those more esoteric things that we don't see. So until it's in our presence and we're like, oh, this is a thing, like this is something, what is this, what is this all about, you just don't know, and so how would you explain sidereal versus tropical to in like I guess we just kind of did that, but does that make sense?
Yeah, for real. It's like, tropical is a system, right? It's so you have your signs in astrology, you have your 12 signs, you have your degrees, and it's just a system that you follow, but it's not related to the actual constellations. The actual constellations are made up of fixed stars, right? Different sizes. That's the reality, right? Period. And we have the planets that rotate along the ecliptic, and they do that and have been doing that for thousands of years. So if it were to change, sidereal astrology is saying, well, Venus isn't in Capricorn, it's in Sagittarius. Like, because today it's in Sagittarius. 2,000 years ago, it was in Capricorn. But would you wear clothes from 2,000 years ago? Would you eat food from 2,000 years ago? Would you go to the Colosseum 2,000 years ago? Or are you living today? So does it serve us? Western astrology is talking about a placement of constellations and things that one happened 2,000 years ago, but also didn't happen 2,000 years ago, because the constellations were never even 30-degree spaces. So the whole layout of the map is a false layout. It's like astrology, but it isn't. So it's like, we could, like, say for instance, you're watching a pickup basketball game. You can talk about it. If you was there, it's important to you. But in the grand scheme of things, nobody is ever going to know about it. It's just a complete isolated thing. Western astrology is like a pickup game that everybody talks about, like made up rules, made up things, but it's just like passed around. Right? Sidereal astrology is just the actual placements of the stars. You can get like apps like Learn. Star Walk. What's another app?
Yeah. got one of those.
The live sky, but you can look like star apps in Google or Android, like, and they'll show you the sun is in right now. The sun is in Capricorn, right?
Right.
Western astrology will say the sun is in Aquarius, but that's in that system that it's in Aquarius, but in real life, it's not. So
No, isn't it wild?
that's crazy, right? Like you would
It's
never
crazy.
do that in no other area of life except astrology, where you can bear witness to something and you'll say, you know what? I'm gonna watch I Love Lucy instead of you know, Abbott Elementary or something like that. Like this is a new show. Like, no, I just like watching Family Matters. It's like,
Yeah.
I guess, but it's kind of weird. Like
It's kind of mind bending. I mean, it's just
yeah.
and so would you say like Western is more like kind of like I guess like a matrix of it, if that's the way you would put it, you know, like kind of like
Yeah, it's like a university. Like,
right,
but you ever been to college?
right,
You're in the world, but you're not. Like your
right.
world is that university, right?
Mhm.
And it's a thought form that makes sense within that paradigm that you're studying. But so many stars that we could study, and so many alignments now that we could have different understandings of it. Like what's going on in your life today? That's an explanation of the sun in Capricorn, right? Right now, you could be an astrologer. You could write a book on the current placements in reference to sidereal astrology, and it would be the truth because that's what Western astrology people do all the time. That's why it's a million and different forms of astrology because everybody is making stuff up because you can. I mean, I guess, but I like
Yeah,
sidereal astrology because it keeps you grounded in the
yeah,
present energy, and it's not that complicated.
right. It's like actuality. I mean, it is what it
Facts.
is. Yeah,
Facts. That's
happening.
it. That's it. And I
It's
feel like
happening.
we're
Yeah.
star people.
You
We
want to
got
know?
star energy within us. So when we align perfectly with the stars, we are seeing our own perfection.
Right. And for me, when I feel like when I'm in alignment, that's what I'm feeling. I am feeling what's going on in sidereal astrology in the world. That's the alignment.
You
And
gotta
it
take
just
a little time to study and get an understanding, and then
Mhm.
you can find it. But if you don't give yourself the patience to understand, okay, what does the sun mean? What does Capricorn mean? Like really understand it, not in, I don't get it, and then just giving up because we can all do that. You gotta, and even to today, honestly, I'm still getting new understandings in reference to the sun and the moon. And I've been studying astrology for years. The sun and the moon, I'm still like, oh, this is an aspect of the sun. Like, you know?
Yeah. I mean, well, that's kind of like it's consciousness in itself. I mean, it never ends, it never stops, it never ceases. Yeah, there's always some new perception to learn, and I think even just opening the door or taking the veil off and seeing that sidereal astrology is a thing for people is mind. It's mind. It's like whoa, like it's opening a new perception, and then you from there. I mean, just from when you did that reading for me, you opened doors. So I mean, there was the Nakshatras, which I kind of wanted to touch on too. There's all these different elements like a Vedic, and I'm so new. I'm still learning like
Me
all
too.
these.
Me too. I'm new
I'm,
here.
I'm real green, but
Yeah.
just the more I learned. I mean, like the Nakshatras, like for just that alone. I mean, I started going down a rabbit hole in that, and I'm like, this is a whole thing in itself. Like, we should all be knowing this stuff. Like,
Oh yeah,
I
it would make your dating life so much easier. Like 100%.
like yeah, well, yeah, when you understand somebody and the moon, it is because the moon, right? The moon,
Part that you
and
don't see.
okay. See, I want you to talk about this, but because as I understand, the nakshatras are more like it's the lunar mansion, so it's like our lunar chart. So instead of reading our as opposed to the sun the sun charts that we're always doing.
Mhm.
This is in reference more to your intimate self, right? Your inner
Yes.
self. Yes. So I'm gonna let you speak into some nakshatra.
Right. So so you go from Western, then you probably venture into Vedic, right? And when you venture into Vedic, they don't go sun first; they go moon first, and then not moon and sign, moon and nakshatra. Period. Right. So it's like, okay, what is that? That's fixed star astrology, because each nakshatra is assigned to a fixed star in each constellation. And it's like when we're in Ohio, the state capital is Columbus, right? Or if we're in New York, the state capital is Albany, right? So you have these regions within the sky, but then you have like the stars, which kind of represent like the most important star within that constellation. And there's 36, because sometimes when you go to Cali, you might go to LA and San Diego, right? Because it's more than one big city in the state, right? So it's 36 lunar mansions throughout the sky, 36 major fixed stars throughout the sky. But our moon, this is a download. Like I've been had this download for many, many years, right? But every day I just sit with it like, man, that is so crazy how I am one person in a day in a in the night. Like it's crazy. Like, but I was just trying to be this one single whole being without my nighttime self. And my nighttime self works with me in the day, and my daytime self works with me in the night. But if I suppress either one, it's over for period. Like, so I have to be like a real adult now. And it is varying degrees for people, right, throughout your life, where you have to honor. You know how people will say, I had a quote unquote hoe phase, right? But that might have been you honoring your lunar self. Like,
Gotcha.
that's probably more rational than hoe phase. Like, what if a lot of people, men and women included, had a time where they were just overly sexual, but then they shamed themselves for it? Like, oh my God, right? But what if that's a part of your lunar nature that you suppress because you want your sun daytime energy to be the most prominent aspect of your being, when you do have a quote unquote nasty side, right? Or whatever that looks like for you. For some people, it can be very elegant and very prosperous, even. Like, who knows, right? But it is a part of you that throughout your 20s, throughout your 30s, if you don't express it, you'll get to 50 and you'll have a major midlife crisis.
Oh yeah. I feel that. No, that makes so much sense, actually. I mean, yeah.
So the nakshatras are helping you see that part of you very clearly. And to understand the nakshatras are to understand that lunar mansion, literally, like imagine a mansion. You have your astrological houses, which might be like, could be a house in the hood, right? But a mansion is not in the hood. A mansion is a sight to behold. The most important aspect of yourself, but it's hidden, it's shadow, and it's you gotta kind of work your way through all of the lust of the solar day, which is like, and to kind of some people, right, don't care and they get in full lunar mode. So you got to kind of figure out a way to balance it in the thing. But it's definitely the key to salvation to integrate your hidden lunar moon sign. But sometimes you just sign, boom sign, whatever, right? It's not something that you really just sit and ponder on. How does this apply to me in the aspect of myself that is hidden? Because the nature of it is hidden, right? Why would I care about something that's completely hidden from me?
Right. But that's like the shadow work too. That's like
everything. It's tripping you up.
Yeah, it makes making the unconscious conscious too. Is bringing those things to light that we don't see all the time. It's
that's
so
bringing your
important.
moon into your sun.
It's so important, and I'm tripping on it right now because honestly, like this is. I mean, I've been like the Nakshatras really got me going, and I see why because that's really like it's the same thing because I work with sound and like that's what we do there is really the way I work with sound is really helping people to bring those unconscious things to light, those new awarenesses. And so nakshatras and the lunar aspect of self is like really that's the energy we want to work in, right? I mean, I don't
Yes.
know. It makes sense to me. And so I'm really fascinated. Yeah. So interesting. Nakshatras. Okay.
Lunar
Now,
mansions.
yeah, and now you said 36, and I've read. I mean, obviously, it's like
27. I apologize.
28. Yeah,
20,
20. I think it's like somebody. What I read was like, of course, like it's the cycles of. So it's 20, 27, 28. It's like
because
very.
I'm working on a book 27 and 36. So I'm working on a book about deacons, sun deacons, and lunar mansions. So it's 36 sun deacons. So I'll be like 36, but it's really 36 sun deacons and 27 nakshatra. Doing a nakshatra and deacon book and differentiating between our moon signs and our sun signs can really understand wholeness because we can say these things all the time, but how
Mm-hmm.
much do we understand? This is my shadow coming in. This is where I need to be more driven and more focused and go for my dreams, right? Like, I don't know. It's
It's
more of a working theory, but it is clearing up every day for me.
so. What is 36 beacons? You said beacons.
Oh, so in reference to the astrological wheel or the metal or the mandala, how many degrees is that? 360 degrees, right? So you
Okay.
break it up in 10 degrees, and each 10-degree block is an energy. It's a planet. It's a
Oh,
it's a constellation, and it's also a tarot card, right? 2, 3,
yeah.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 times, you know what I'm saying? It just breaks down
Okay.
and it allows us to understand the astrological wheel. A logical standpoint. I don't like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not dissing astrology. Like I'm saying,
Yeah.
like I might watch a pickup game and it's the greatest pickup game ever, and I want to tell people about it, right? So I like the layout of it because I can communicate to my brothers and sisters very easily. If I come at y'all straight stereo, y'all just like, whoa, I don't understand. Give it up. So I'm gonna give you the deacons and help you understand Western astrology better than anybody. And
Mm-hmm.
then we're gonna go open your mind up with the lunar nakshatras. But yes,
Yeah.
that's the deacons in a nutshell.
Gotcha. And so this is something you're working on
This
putting
is
together.
something that this is the next book I'm hoping to drop like towards the end of 2022.
I love it. Oh, I'm
I'm
definitely
taking my time. Like I'm really not in a rush because I got books out already. So I'm just really working on
Mm-hmm.
a good one, something that I'd be proud of personally.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. And see, I've been contemplating how I can bring like with my personal work or working with people, but bringing the nakshatras and the lunar aspect to just in addition to doing more of like making those the unconscious conscious like just opening up new neural pathways, opening up yourself to more about yourself.
Yeah.
It's all healing. It's all that's what it's really comes to. It's
Sure.
that
Yes.
the harmonization. It's not these are just tools and ways we can do it.
Yes. It's many different tools. I call it divination. And you
Yeah.
can have your tools for divination. Astrology is just something that helps me heal, man. Period.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. And it's like when doing my chart, my sidereal chart, I mean, I've known my tropical chart for a long time, and I remember the first time I had somebody, or I didn't have somebody, I actually looked up my own, and that's, I just kind of looked, I use my knowledge of what I do know as far as like, what Leo is like, or what, just my little bits of knowledge, and kind of tried to piece it together. And after having you read it, it just really confirmed, and also just from me being tuned into myself, it hit the nail on the head, and it was like, it just confirmed the things that I needed to hear in order to, just keep going and move forward in the ways that I felt was right. It was really
beautiful.
powerful. Yeah.
Well, I'm happy that it did that for you, because I'm just understanding the science and communicating what I understand in reference to the science, and that would be my hopes and dreams, but it's no guarantees, right? So
Right.
I'm happy that was the result, and that's how you felt in reference to your reading.
No, it was right on point. I work a lot with the masculine feminine energy, like that's kind of, I speak in terms of that a lot. That was just something that came into my awareness through the Kundalini and everything, and having that, and that wasn't something that I ever, like, I didn't know what Kundalini was before it actually happened to me. It was one of the things it taught me. I didn't know shit about shit until stuff just went down, and then it was like, it was actually, I think, the most beautiful way, because it was just so authentic, and it made my knowingness, like, because it was like, man, there was no falsity to that. Like, you couldn't make that shit up. You know what I'm saying?
It's like, what I really think of is how God and love are really spontaneous.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the first time was really like, you were telling me, that you came up in church too and all that. And the first time I had a Kundalini movement, before I knew what that was, I mean, it was, and I still call it, you can call it, I mean, really, that's just a term. We can call it anything we want, but it's spirit. It was in it for me. It was Holy Spirit. That's how I knew it to be when it happened to me that first time. And I still call it spirit, it's the energy of the spirit. But yeah, I mean, it's a wild unit.
It's all energetic, and it's all spontaneous, but learning how to harness it, learning how to access it at will is the work, because even if you meet your dream girl or your dream boy just all of a sudden at the grocery store, you're still going to have to work to maintain that relationship, just because you created the energy. It goes in, right? But it also means that you have to work to understand your powers. And really, the trick is understanding the non-physical nature of your spiritual powers, and imagination and visualization, which would then play into our emotional world and our thought world, right? It's very simple stuff, but very easily we can just use our emotions and our thoughts to be hurricanes and tornadoes and earthquakes, when they can be rainbows and all types of beautiful things. But it's really like mastering that part.
Yes, I totally agree. Yeah, we can create all kinds if we're not careful with it. Because that shit's powerful. It's very so powerful. Yeah. Before I knew my awareness of it, I was like, that's when I call it, like, a lot of people call it dark night of the soul. I was like, what the fuck? It was like all kinds of shit was happening around me, to me. I didn't know. I mean, I knew it was something. I just didn't know what. And it took me like having to just go through the life and the experience of it, and delving into it, really surrendering to it ultimately.
That's the key. That's the key.
Yes. Yeah.
I do it every night. it's too much, I gotta surrender, and once I do that, wake up revitalized and supercharged to, like you said earlier, blank slate, which is the goal, really. You know, a dawn is like a new day. Why do we want to carry yesterday into today? Like, when we can create something brand new today. Like, you don't want to create the stuff that you already created. It's blank slate. But really tapping into that creative power, which is tied to Kundalini force raising within you, and really, honestly, like creating every single day, whether it's podcasts, whether it's art, whether it's music, whether it's YouTube videos, whether it's, you know, journaling, whether it's a conversation with a random stranger, but that's creation too, right? Because before you opened up your mouth, you were just going to be a passerby. You were just going to be in the matrix, right? But when you start to have these conversations with people and people get to experience your light, you know, and them, you know, and you just find so much purpose in all of the spiritual journey and spiritual growth. And it's like, it's very simple, but human beings have learned to complicate like life. So a spiritual journey must be complicated, just like a cellular phone, but it's not like that. It's very much of a level of purity and a level of awareness, and also being able to speak. You can, you know, open up many doors just by speaking, starting a podcast, starting a YouTube channel. It sounds really crazy and simple, and I tell people that, and they're just like I'm some special person, and I'm like, I'm really just super regular, not nothing. Just walk right past me if we was on the streets. But when I speak, something different happens, and it's due to the Kundalini and the spiritual work. Period. That's how you know it's real. Period. Like, if you don't speak, you might have all of these fantasies in your mind and stuff like that, and nothing happens. But when you start speaking, you realize, oh, I have a channel for the divine, and I just need to let it flow. Like, out though, in and out, not just in.
Yeah, you are so right. Yeah. That's for me, that was the same thing. Like that, like the whole. I started a YouTube channel, you know, like 3 years ago maybe, and that was completely spirit led. That was like, it was not me. Arlen was like, what the fuck am I gonna do with YouTube? I'm gonna do this. I gotta talk in this camera. Like, I just feel stupid, you know. But like, spirit's like, you need to tell this story. You need to tell this. It would be like, and it's still like that. I still operate like that, and I'm, you know, I would like to think I have these like, oh, one day I'll just like do it every day. Maybe I will. I don't know, but I just kind of jump on when spirit's like giving me that hit. I'm getting that nudge, like, you need to just talk about this right now, or just open your mouth. Sometimes it's just get on there, and you know. And so I trusted, and I tell you, it's been like, it always comes back. Spirit always shows me exactly why I did that. You know, sometimes it just helps me work something out. You know, I'm like, oh shit, and hopefully that helps somebody else. I don't know, but
you don't do it for the result. You do it for the intuition of it all.
That's it. It has nothing to do with me. That's. Oh my god, the last thing I would do is go fucking start a. I don't even like being in front of people. That's the irony of what I do. Is like, and that's what you were reading in my chart, was like how it, you know, just so many things in my chart are like, you know, me being in front of people or me doing these things, and it's like, that is what I battle with a lot of the time more than any. Is like, I'm like, man, like, I'll be in front of people at a sound thing, and I'm like, I just want to. I was like, can y'all just like, I don't even want to talk right now. I'm like, what am I doing? But I know that's kind of even my sign to know this is exactly what I need to be doing, you know. And it's just my own inner working. Yeah. laying Arlen to bed.
You and me both. And it's not even like, I don't feel like nobody is outside of the spectrum of inner work and facing your fears and doing the thing that you don't feel comfortable in doing it even deeper. Like, I try to tell people, like, if you're uncomfortable with doing something, then do it, because why are you uncomfortable? Like, there's a million things that you could be uncomfortable about and you don't even care, right? But you're just so fixated on this one thing that you're uncomfortable with. And it's like, I don't know, like, sometimes, and I'm gonna just throw this out there because I feel like it's pertinent. Like in relationships, people can be like, I'm afraid of my partner cheating on me, and then I'm just like, well, then you need to let your partner have a whole fling. Then, like, just leave you for a sexual rendezvous or something so you can get over it, because that fear of that particular situation will never leave you, right? Because it's your making. Like, it happens so often that we can get fixated on that idea. That's not true, but we might have little confirmation biases that bring it truer in our minds and magnifies it and clouds us and actually blocks us from our spiritual journey because we can't be present. And so that will even relate to astrology, right? So many things I read about my chart that, like, say I was a Virgo in Western, so I had to be neat. I was never neat. So like, I'm just always feeling bad that I'm not neat, and neat freak and analytical. I'm not any of that. I'm a performer, like, period. Like, I'm a Leo, but trying to be what I wasn't was very difficult, and fixating on ideas that wasn't true was hard, but being my authentic self is very easy.
Yes.
And that's how you can tell the difference between energy and fantasy.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a trip. And see, I'm actually a Virgo. I'm a Virgo in Sidereal, which is, and I was a Libra.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and no, it does actually. It's fucking like, all my best friends were like parent Virgos, but like the Virgo and me, yeah, like I'm definitely like, and it's super like, kind of not cynical, but just like I'm always like trying to get to the crux of like shit, and very, it just makes total sense in so many ways, in the earthiness, and Venus, just I don't even know how many times Venus pops up in my chart, but
that's what I was thinking about with Virgo.
Yeah, it's wild.
Very goddess-like energy.
Yeah, goddess is strong. Yeah. So, is there any, by the way, like, is there any kind of like, do you know any like transits coming up or anything like right now that's like, I know we got a full moon.
I think Mercury, we're having full moon coming up. Mercury retrograde is going direct this week. So this whole retrograde season, which Venus and Mercury have been retrograde all of 2022, which made time kind of slow down a lot. Like 5 years took place in a matter of a month. So what will happen is things will start to speed up, kick into overdrive. And I'm saying that because you ever been unprepared and went fast versus being prepared and went fast? It's two different things. Like, you could easily spin out of control if you're not grounded, if you don't have a goal, you don't have an intention. And why be off course when you can be on course? You're making it harder for yourself. Like, have a goal, have an intention, working towards, and put the pedal to the metal. Because like spiritual overdrive. I hope y'all been feeling the energy of 2022, like as a number frequency, like twos and 22s, and just that overall frequency. That means something like it's not like inconsequential. It's very much of a goddess frequency and balancing that true goddess energy, where the goddess just pours and pours and pours prosperity, ease. Um, this overall bliss is attainable. But I think one of the major keys is Mercury going direct is how easy can you communicate your true bliss and your true desires? Or do you not even communicate it and you just wait for it to knock on your doorstep? So a lot of things are happening astrologically that can bring about miracles. And the way to do it with all of this energy in Capricorn is really communicating and uniting with your higher self and allowing the larger part of you, the electrical part of you, the Kundalini part of you, to do the manifesting, to do the creating, and you just be the experiencer of it. And I think that's kind of how I see the energy playing out, setting the tone for this next week, like charting your course and having a particular destination. And then the following weeks we'll look into like some full moon energy. So it's like pedal to the metal.
Yeah. I'm feeling it. I feel like this, like today, I mean, I've been feeling that kind of that unification energy within me, and that's I mean, that is like when the Kundalini. I mean, today having it express itself like that, I think was significant into kind of like where we are and what just through me feeling into it. It feels like that, like very creative energy we're in right now. So. Like
most definitely, things should start making sense. Like the dots should be connected this week for sure as Mercury goes direct.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
and it might have been a kind of confusion for a lot of us, but it's kind of like shaking up their alignment.
Yeah, love it. So okay, so Kyree, I know you have like a lot of platforms. I want to you kind of just give us like so people can find you if they want to, like follow some.
The easiest way to find me in all of my portals is hoodmystic.com. And on top of that, you get a bonus free blog with me and my wife. My wife is super creative. She writes dope articles, and I edit them. So I'm in the process of editing a real dope article now. But yeah, hoodmystic.com, that's really simple. Like anything about me, you can really find. So anything that I might talk about, you can find me on hoodmystic.com. That's HOOD as in dog, mystic as in mystic.com.
Sweet. Perfect. Yeah. And and the YouTube and IG, the Hood Mystic.
All of that. You can actually get all of that on the website, but the Hood Mystic on IG, Hood Mystic on YouTube. I tend to post daily because what the algorithm supports when I can, but I've been real busy, so whatever. Bump the algorithm. But anyway.
No, I love it. I love your energy. I love that you're always like you're such a gift. As far as just you really cause thought, and I'm sure you trigger a ton of people for it. But that's wonderful. I find beauty in that. So and guys, like he's also quite a comedian.
Yeah, I try to make people laugh as much as I can.
You have cracking up, and there's times I'll just have you like playing, and like you'll say something, and I'm just like dying laughing.
That's the goal. That is definitely the goal.
It's real. So if you can appreciate realness, then you'll appreciate it.
Like real laughs got a little bit of truth in it, a little bit of disgust in it. It got a nice little gumbo of like shadow that I try to like make you smile at. That's real work though, That's the real work. Can you laugh at your pain?
That's it. Oh my God, yes. That's why that's probably one of the reasons you're still in my life, because I the core, like seriously.
For sure.
Yeah, but that's the part of that's when you work in the shadow. That's really the gist of it. You laugh a lot.
You don't want it to take you under by it being so serious.
That's right. Exactly. So, all right, I so appreciate you coming on today. This is amazing, and
It was cool. Invite me back when more again. You know, I'd love to be a guest again.
I'm gonna be getting my I'm gonna get a new computer here soon, so we'll be doing some Zoom stuff too. So maybe we can do face podcast situation.
YouTube stuff. Yeah, that'd be dope.
That's it. Cool. All right, y'all. So as within, so without, as above, so below. Love is truly all that is. So be it. Wholeness.
Thank you for tuning into the Awaken Sponda podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please stay tuned because we got a lot more in store. And personally, I am really excited about it. Also, if you'd like to come to any local events, check the website www.awakensponda.com. As well, if you'd like to book any privates or any small group sessions in state or out of state, you can email at awakensponda@gmail.com. That's it. I wish you well. I wish you a wonderful day. Wholeness.